Item: SCP-1693. Codename: Infectious Dementia. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures: a stable population of 5 SCP-1693 infected D-Class personnel, collectively designated SCP-1693-1, is to be maintained at Sector 25 in standard humanoid containment units that have been modified in accordance to the specifications listed in Document SCP-1693-HC-USA. No Foundation personnel and/or members of the public are to be exposed to vocalizations or recorded vocalizations of confirmed or suspected SCP-1693-1 instances, including non-audio methods such as physical transcripts or digital audio visualization. All testing or observation of SCP-1693 and SCP-1693-1 instances beyond that which is required for maintaining containment is presently disallowed, and any attempt to do so is to be considered a containment breach. D-Class personnel are to be exposed to SCP-1693 instances of SCP-1693-1, or their vocalizations, only as required to replenish SCP-1693-1 instances. SCP-1693-HC-USA defines, in brief, a humanoid containment unit that has been modified to include FAV classification level 15 soundproofing. No audio or video monitoring equipment is to be maintained in or around the containment unit. Millimeter wave remote biometric monitoring equipment is to be maintained to monitor the physical health of contained SCP-1693-1 instances. A soundproofed antechamber is to be established at the entry point to each containment unit. Delivery and collection of consumables and waste to and from each containment unit is to be achieved via automated systems. Any maintenance of the containment units that requires entry into the interior requires first the transfer or termination of the contained instance of SCP-1693-1. D-Class personnel assigned to become an instance of SCP-1693-1 are to be admitted entry into the antechamber of the containment unit of an existing SCP-1693-1 instance and provided, via remote control, a copy of document SCP-1693-D, A1 in hard copy or speech synthesis, as required by the D-Class personnel's level of literacy. Further details of the specific process for replenishment of SCP-1693-1 instances is to be found in document SCP-1693-HC-USA. Document SCP-1693-DA1 must not be viewed by any persons other than D-Class personnel assigned to become an instance of SCP-1693-1. Exposure to document SCP-1693-DA1 outside of these conditions is to be considered a containment breach. In the event of a containment breach, all instances of SCP-1693-1 affected, and all potentially exposed Foundation personnel and/or members of the public are to be terminated. Description: SCP-1693 is an orally infectious form of Alzheimer's disease. The physical nature of the infection is currently unknown. Other potential infection vectors, such as nonverbal communication, are currently unknown. The efficacy of amnestics as a method of inoculation or cure is unknown. Incubation period is unknown, but hypothesized to be in the order of 3 to 5 minutes following initial exposure. The content of document SCP-1693-DA1 is unknown, and is to be considered a possible infection vector. Information regarding the initial containment of SCP-1693 and of the establishment of the current containment procedures is missing following the containment breach of SCP-19, and the subsequent corruption of database information and hardcopy destruction that followed. SCP-1693-DA1. Sealed by Order 9603-A. SCP-1693-DA1. Seal override confirmed. My name is Jake Williamson. I'm 68 years old. I have one of those numbers they give you, but I've forgotten it a long time ago. I'm writing to tell you that you have won the lottery, my friend. Like me, you have found yourself in a bad place. You've done the crime and now you're doing your time. You've been sentenced to die, but you got brought here instead. Confusing, isn't it? Well, I've had a lot of time to think about what this place is. I've been here for a long time. After all, a lot of time on your own gives you a lot of time to think. And what I've come up with is this. This is a prison, but not for us. It's a prison for much worse things, deceases. It's a kind of hospital, and we are the patients. We're here for them to infect so they can poke and prod us and see what bits fall off us and when. Did you know the Nazis did that at the camps? Gives you an idea of what kind of people we're dealing with, doesn't it? None of that really matters, though, because you've lucked out just like I did. They thought they were giving me some really bad disease, one that rots your head and makes you crazy. You know the one that old people get. Old people like me. Come to think of it. But I was a young man when they put me in here, with the intention of catching the crazy off the man they had in here before me. Except he wasn't crazy, and he told me everything. He told me the truth. The disease doesn't exist. Maybe it was real, once upon a time. But I can tell you this. It's not real here and now. Not in these cells anyway. They either had it and they lost it, or they never had it in the first place. Maybe it cured itself along the way. Maybe they just got it wrong way back at the start. Who knows? Who cares, right? So for the last 30 or so years I've been in here on my own. Perfectly sane. Well, as sane as you can be on your own for so long. Watch out for that. Read the books. Watch the movies. They've been kind enough to stock the place up. Keep your mind working. You don't want to get the crazy for real. 30 odd years is pretty good for a guy who was sentenced to die, don't you think? Whatever you do, don't let them find out that you're sane. They don't ever come inside, and they're not watching or listening, but they move you from cell to cell sometimes. They knock you out first, and they come in to clean up the place when you die. So don't write anything down. Don't leave any marks on the walls. Don't trash the cell. Don't do anything that makes them think you're anything but a man, or woman, I suppose, who has gone funny in the head before your time. You owe it to us all to keep the ruse going. After you read this, you'll get sent inside the cell. You'll meet someone who's probably on their way out. They might be in a bad way, so do the kind thing and help them along, would you? There's no medical treatment in here. No painkillers. No relief. If the guy's suffering, end it for him. And then settle down for a nice, long, peaceful life. If you're lucky. Good luck, whoever you are. And if you find any juicy pictures in the books you find in there, be sure to leave them clean for the next guy. And have a laugh at those idiots who locked you in here. Yours, Jake Williamson.